OBS, what was I say, 2 weeks ago, I started playing a game called Bayonetta. You may have heard of it. It's not exactly a very old game, but it's certainly a generation ago. Lots of hugs. Yeah, and I just hadn't played it. I hadn't seen a Let's Play of it or anything like that. All I knew is that the main character was this sort of deliberately, ridiculously over-sexualized sort of character, as it were. And the enemies and the basic sort of mythology of the game revolves around like a kind of Dante's Inferno sort of thing, sort of Paradiso Inferno sort of what's it going on, and that's kind of what interested me about the whole design of the whole thing. And so I started playing it a couple of weeks ago. I finished playing it on Friday. That is my sole experience of this game, is one playthrough. I still haven't seen Let's Plays or speedruns or anything like that. So obviously, having played through the game once, it's probably a good idea to try and draw every enemy and boss in the game from memory. I find it's an interesting idea to do it with this game because the enemies in this game are very highly stylized and very detailed. So I think it'll be interesting to see how much of their kind of essence I can get down without getting into too much decoration, you know? So anyway, let me set things up so that we can actually do this. You can see here, I think this is from memory as well, don't worry about it. Which is why it doesn't look anything like her and why the logo doesn't look correct. Memory is a bad thing. Right, so you can go there, that's fine, have coffee. Get coffee and all that sort of stuff. Yes, I remind me to change literally every single one of my scenes in OBS now, because my voice doesn't work otherwise. There we go. Right, so I suppose we better get started. How do we get started? We get started with separation out. We start in the third sphere with Affinity. All of the enemies have names like this. Affinity. Let's get some actual layers down so that we can start drawing. That's cool. Unnecessary lore, pretty much, yeah. All of the enemies are named after like heavenly virtues and things like that, which makes it very difficult to remember what anything is. I do have a hint sheet, which I don't have open, but I can look at it if I need to. It's, yeah, basic information, but nothing too sort of spoilerish. Enough to just make me go, oh, it's that one. Right, so Affinity, they're birds. Most of the enemies in this game are based on sort of angels or angelic-like things, but as if they were monsters, and angels being winged creatures. I like birds, so we'll see how this goes. I don't know sort of what their necks are kind of doing. And there's lots of different types of affinities. They're the kind of basic foot soldiers of the game. Hello! Speaking of flying things, there's fairies! That one what does have wings and stuff, yes. Whoops, it's all fun bird. Pretty much, there's a lot of flying stuff. So there's wings. A lot of the enemies have like, most of them have like ivory armor and gold decoration on them somewhere, which I'm not going to be able to do because I don't have time. So I think this has got like a kind of cowl over its face or something. Not cowl, what am I thinking of? More things, distractions, flying friends, yeah. So there's like sort of decoration on there or whatever. And like I say, there's lots of different types of these basic foot soldiers, but they're basically the same thing with different weapons. So what I'll do is just choose my favorite. So this is sort of basic body. I think this has got like a kind of tabard slash loinclothy kind of situation going on. You're here, but you will be skulking and incredibly pissed that your game keeps screwing you over. Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. So what I'll do for this one, because of course you should, is I'll have this one. Should I be using something other than a pencil? Maybe. Let's try with a pen. Get a more sort of solid line going on. We did the solid line for the Dark Souls 2 one, but then we also did that without being able to undo or or erase, so you kind of needed to. An experiment, why not? So yeah, this one has a tuba. That's the weapon. As you do. I now have to work out how to draw a tuba. Lots of heavenly trumpet kind of things going on in this game, and these are the projectile weapons of the angels. Yeah, so there's sort of like energy blasts coming out of it. How's he holding this? It's nice to be able to actually undo and rub out, because I think I'm going to need to a lot for this particular one, or for this particular boss brush, as it were. It's a shame we don't have the other ones that we did. We did Salt and Sanctuary was the first one of these we did, and then we did Dark Souls 2, which was... It birthed some things. Oh, okay. Apparently this soundtrack has songs on it. And then it has, well, sort of like bird legs, so let's... Does this fly me to the moon? I suppose that makes sense. There's a lot of moon motifs in the game, hence my very quickly put together background from stock images. Royalty-free stock images, I mind you. Have this one sort of facing forward a bit more. Wait for this VOD to get sort of copyright claim. That's a thick bird. Right, Internet Thief, what, who, what, how, where, when? It's been too long since you've been to a stream in real time. Oh, well, I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're, hopefully you will enjoy this. I have no idea. Things are going to get very bizarre, because the enemies in this game are not normal. Again, the enemy design was kind of why I played the game, although I didn't actually come away from it really liking much. It's a bit messy at times for me. I prefer things a little more simplistic. I do have a clear favourite, but that's just because it's probably the most different thing in the whole game. Doesn't really fit in with the rest of it. Anyway, this is sort of like an Affinity. It's a bird creature with a tuba projectile. Some nice sort of decoration going on. Probably a thinner brush in future. We're working it out. We're working it out. I imagine they're sort of feathered legs. Apart from this bit, this is like... Oh, and halos as well. That's a thing. Everything in this game has a halo. So... And it's sort of like a weird halo. It's got like a design to it. I have no idea what that design is. Probably should have looked it up beforehand, but here we are. Cool. Right. Affinities. Oh, I'm stealing images. They're royalty free. It's fine. They're all from Wikipedia, actually. This is just Doctor Who. They had trumpet projectiles, didn't they? Yeah. If your VODs don't get copyright claimed, I don't think yours will. Like, I saw someone doing karaoke on the front page of Mixer the other day. I don't think copyright is... I think I looked in the description, in the terms, and their approach is, if we don't get a takedown notice, we're not going to bother, you know? So, That's nice. That's probably going to change over time, but for now, it's nice. Right, so that's an affinity. Third, next, deer and decoration. Deer and decoration are cherubs, basically. I'll do the deer first, which is sort of, and by cherubs I mean faces. It's complicated. So there's a lot of kind of statue stuff in the game. Statue sort of appearances. Let's do a kind of, this has a beard if I remember correctly. I like the way I said cherub, and I'm immediately going to draw an old man with a beard. So it's like a kind of ivory sort of, or stone sort of statue look. I think sort of everything seems to be quite curly for some reason, because statues. It's all sort of, yeah. He's saying we can't blink through this entire stream, Emily, because of all the angels. That's also a thing. There are, yeah, like I say, statue faces. Nothing says cherub like old man beard, indeed. Then there's like, yes, I don't know whether this has a halo or whether this is the halo, but there's this sort of, so I'm gonna have to draw a lot of circles over the course of this stream. Hope you don't mind. Okay, let's just sort of wrestle this into a roughly circle shape. That'd be nice. That'll do for now. Round boys are hard, they are indeed. I'm probably going quite slowly for how many things we've got to get through today, so that's going to be fun. Let me try and speed things up a tad. So I remember there's like sort of spikies. Ooh. Come on. Straight lines shouldn't be that difficult. I don't know what this music is. Okay, and it also has wings, so that's a thing. Ooh. They're also sort of angelic sort of wings. One of the nice things about the designs of these enemies is that most of what you sort of see, most of, you know, like this statuesque face and all these sorts of things, is actually just kind of a mask, and you break it off over the course of combat, and there's like a weird sort of gelatinous puddle of muscles and eyes underneath, which is quite sort of an interesting idea. So this is, I think, deer. Oops. And then decorations very similar, only it's like small cherub faces with wings. So let's see if I can do that quickly. How did cherub face? Something like that, I suppose. There we go, and that's just got. But yeah, so one of the things that really sort of drew me to this game was all of the enemies are basically effectively based on heavenly principles, as it were. You are fighting the forces of Paradiso. And you are not necessarily on the side of hell, or Inferno, but you're... I don't know, you're sort of a Chaos Witch, I suppose. The Umbran, part of the now defunct Umbran clan, or whatever they're called. So I didn't pay too much attention, it seems. The witches, the Umbran witches, and all that sort of stuff. Anyway. You're back. Hello. What we'll do, you like the small scratches from the pen? Yeah, that's probably, the microphone's probably a bit too close at the moment. I've had to readjust things. I will, between today and tomorrow, I will check sort of settings for things and try and reorganize stuff. Right, so... yeah, so the gist is, like, there's just loads of these things. And then one of these things in the middle. Where's that? That's there. That's cool. Let's do that. Marvellous. Affinities and dealer and decorations. I'm pretty sure... that's the halo bit. And these have all got sort of little halos on top. Right, next. What's next? Enchant. Enchant... are wheels. More circles, fantastic. I remember looking at them and thinking, that's a very unusual idea for an enemy design. And then I remember thinking later in the game, oh, I remember thinking those were an unusual idea for an enemy design. Oh, how naive I was. What are we doing with pineapple stuff? Pineapples under seas and all these sorts of things? So, okay, so this one basically is like that. I'm not paying attention to time at all, which is bad, because otherwise we're going to be here forever. That didn't work at all. And this also has a head in it, so let's get rid of that. Most things have some sort of face in it. I think this is just like a kind of blank, sort of Gennaro face. I don't think it's particularly cherubic or anything like that. This doesn't sound like Bayonetta at all. This sounds like Sonic. And then it has, like, I think sort of, it's like that, so it's sort of, it's gonna be like that way, then like that way. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, cool. And then these are like sort of wing. Widgets. I remember thinking their design was sort of interesting. They give you a little cutscene every time you come across a new enemy and it tells you its name. That doesn't mean I'm going to remember them though. So it's like that, and then it's sort of... I suppose I should have copied and pasted it after I'd done that, really. So... do this. Like that, but the face is on the other side. That. And then it's sort of connected by sort of weird energy, and then it just spins around and is generally menacing. Yeah, and these are, what are they? Enchant. I only particularly remember that because they're sort of, I remember thinking, oh, they're sort of spinning, hypnotizy kind of thing, maybe? Is that where they get their name from? Who knows? What am I looking at? I'm looking at a mess. Okay, cool, good. I worked it out. Well, that's enchant. They're weird. Oh, I remember the halos on these ones are strange. Because the halos are in front. There's sort of like, again, I can't remember what the design for the halo is. It's sort of something like that. All right. Okay. Cool. 3 down. We're very, very behind. To be fair, we started at like 1:15 and then had a little chat. Oh dear. Right. Applaud. What's applaud? I think applaud is just these but bigger. So cool. Let's draw one of those just with a different weapon. Oops. Just give myself a sketch layer. Hello. Coffee. You have coffee. Okay, so okay, that should be enough. Ah, more things. Pingu! Thank you very much for the gift, GIF. GIF. I think these also have the sort of headpieces. There's a lot of sort of mix-up of mythology in this game. You'd think it would be mostly sort of biblical references, but there's a lot of design taken from like ancient Egyptian religion, from Norse religion. One of the later bosses is just called Balder. So yeah, sort of interesting. Like I say, these are all like very heavy on decoration and detail and all these sorts of things, but I don't have time to do that. I have to get their basic form down and leave. So yeah. How long have we been listening to this piece of music? Oh, it's just finished. Cool. Right, so they do also occasionally have staves. I suppose technically spears, actually. They've got like sort of bidents, I suppose you could call them. It's a noisy one. Yeah, so these are just kind of like bigger versions of the smaller grunt guys, and they have yeah, just different weapons, massive weapons, which you can then pick up and use on enemies. That's a huge flaw. It's like a reskin, but just make bigger. At what point do you think I'm going to have to realise I need to hurry up? Like, seriously. And that's when everything goes horribly wrong. As far as I'm aware, there are no horse enemies in the game, so that's a shame. But I'm sure we'll find something equally abhorrent. I mean, this is, you know, a pretty good contender. You're literally about to ask about horse. There's no horse. Okay, there's applaud. Also Halo. Whatever it is. I'm pretty sure there's like different designs for the different tiers, because we're currently in the 3rd sphere. There are 4 tiers. 2 of which are spheres, 2 of which aren't. Or one of which... No, 3 of which are spheres and 1 of which isn't. Technically. Arda. What's Arda? Arda, I think, is the same as Affinity and Applaud, but with armor. And big weapons and shields. So let's draw those. Let's get some rough... Okay. These have got like, I think, sort of helmety sort of things, only they look better than this. There you go. If you wanted any armored birds, here you go. Big pauldrons, if I seem to recall. They're very colourful, these ones. Like, usually most of the design schemes are sort of like ivory and gold, but these ones are like come in like red and blue variations, which is nice. Makes for a change. Yep, there's sort of like a massive breastplate sort of thing. So the shield, which I should probably do first because it's going to cover up a lot, is like segmented, and you sort of break off segments, as it were. So this is probably the way I'm going to do it. Yeah, I'm just kind of annoyed because I had to start late because of all these audio driver things, and I've been preparing for this for like 3 or 4 hours, just getting assets and things drawn and getting excited, and then I had to sort out bloody driver stuff, and yeah. Stressy start. Didn't really want that. Anyway, you get the idea. Let's just say there's a plate behind it as well, just for the sake of not having to draw what's behind the plate. And then sword, which is, I think, equally as... I don't think they have opposing thumbs. I'll give them a thumb, why not? Perspective, please. So I suppose just get this sort of general appearance, but I think this is also segmented, although I don't think you break these into bits. Hello! Hugs. Aww. Thank you very much. But here now, it's sorted as much as it needs to be for now. Just hang with us and enjoy yourself. Stress stuff is behind you, so it doesn't need to be worried about. I know, I was just looking forward to it, and it just started off so annoyingly. Dear. Let's get pauldrons. Always pauldrons. Thank you for the stickers. It's very kind of you. So there's probably like some armor at the bottom or something like that. Some sort of, you know, sort of jewel encrusted things and like bands going around the legs and all these sorts of things. It's good. I recommend you look up the designs. They're not necessarily to my tastes, but they're kind of interesting at the least. Right, there's Arda. Yeah. And now Irenic. Oh god. Okay, let me get rough. Girl power. Let me get a rough shape for this one. See if you can guess what this is from the rough shape. That'll do. And then with it's like that, if I recall. Okay, cool. Irenic is a car. It's just a car with a face on the front. This is what I meant about strange designs. Are you going to dress overly casual at your work because you're low-key annoyed at your work? You can dress however you desire. Assuming it's obviously not breaking any regional laws. Cars are hard to draw. I'm not really a car fan, so you're going to get a basic car. It's a nice looking car. Like, it's kind of, I don't know. Kind of looks like something like an old James Bond would drive-ish. But I can't do that, so... I'm also not a fan of James Bond, so I don't exactly know why I made that comparison. They go together in my head. The one thing I do recall about these, though, is that the halos go on the wheels. For reasons. There's sort of interesting questions when you start thinking about halos and what they are and what they do, as to, like, if you have a picture of somebody who has been beheaded, where does the halo go? And I think this game just goes, wherever. Who cares? This angel is a car. Turn those clients into jorts. What? Well, I hope you enjoy your jorting. I literally just before we started streaming saw a picture of BDG wearing some jorts out and about. So I can only assume that jorts are the in thing. I mean, he likes jorts, but whatever. He's a strange person. So yeah, this is a car. Irenic. Irene Adler. It's a car. There's really not an awful lot more you can say, to be honest. They try and push you off the road. I don't own jorts. I don't own jeans. Jorts are just sort of like one step up of discomfort for me. Rain! Just leggings? I have some jog trousers which are sort of thin enough, maybe. Anyway. So yeah, there's the sort of halos. I'm interested to actually see what these designs for the halos are, because they're interesting, and I think they change in the spheres. Oh god, it's 7:51. We are a quarter of the way through. I'm going to need to hurry up. Anyway, these are the first 6. This is the third sphere. I'm pleased with that deer and decoration one. That's pretty good. It'll now get worse. Third sphere down. Second sphere begins. Beloved. Beloved. Oh no, I think I know what Beloved is. Beloved is like the Hulk. So there's an interesting part of the design for the Beloved. So let me sort of get the basic shape down first. This is not a bird or a mode of transportation. Actually, does it have wings? No, it doesn't have wings. Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward from that. Right, so we have sort of... I think there's... Oh no, it has a thing, doesn't it? It has like a collar. Which is like... sun motif? Like a wobbly sun? You fight a few of these, so you sort of get to see it eventually. But it's got this little face. Hang on, it's got this... face... here. Another sort of cheruby one. With like the curly hair and all that sort of stuff. But then underneath that is the mouth. No, it's happy, look at him. Which I found quite an interesting idea. Anyway, around that is this sort of weird, sort of collary thing. Kermit? The strange Kermit, yeah. Alright, yeah, so that's there. There's also a big glowing orb on its back, which is sort of like a weak point. But if you do go back to try and hit that, it will reach around and grab you. I do remember that. That is an animation that it has. Big axe, that's a thing. I don't think this has bird hands. I think it's got sort of relatively regular hands, but I will draw 3 fingers in the tradition of saving time, and avoid any understanding of anatomy in the tradition of drawing badly. This is like a kind of double-headed. Let's have it facing this way. But anyways, everyone having a nice time at the moment. I don't know if this is wearing anything, so I'm going to give it a tabard cloth thing. Beloved, pretty much. Not an awful lot to say. It climbs on buildings occasionally. It's a big fella, like it's sort of like Bayonetta sort of down here. Actually, probably a bit bigger. Not that big. Doodly way your pal drawing, so yes, marvellous. Kinship. Clues in the name. Pretty sure it's got a face on the front, as most of these things do. Might be like an old man face, actually, so let's get that beard in there. Miss Pallard, yay indeed. This is a boat that flies through the air and shoots rockets at you. Pretty sure that's all there is to say about this one. It's got the Ark of the Covenant on its back or something that looks like that. Yeah, lots of oars. Very highly decorated, as is tradition. You see why I kind of wanted to do this? These enemies are weird. These enemies are very unusual. Not what you would expect from the design of an action game. That'll do. And then... Where is the layer that I started with? There it is. Sound like you never before encountered a ship that sails through the air and fires rockets at you. I mean, you might be right. So here's the Ark of the Covenant. It's just on the back somewhere. This is where the rockets come out of. Which have probably also got faces, to be honest. Most things in this game have a face on the front. Yep, that's Kinship. Again, lots of decoration. It's all very pleasant looking. Jumping from these to other ones of these is a nightmare. I died a lot doing that. You lose rank if you die. That part of the game was annoying. There's also all on this side as well. You get the idea. That's Kinship. Whoops. There goes my pen. Got it. Very annoying when you want to draw and have ideas for once. What? Ooh. Oh, today was just... Oh, right. Okay, yeah. That has been a thing for me for about a couple of weeks. Today's a good day. So, I'm pleased it was on a drawing day. Fairness. Oh, Hexagon Dog, yes. Right. How to do Hexagon Dog. Okay. No, let's have it a bit more front facing. Like that. Okay. I think these are technically birds as well, so they've also got wings. Okay, that gives me the basic idea. Right. Want to chill creative stream, hurry and draw a million drawings. Yeah. Right, so this is... Oh, how does this look? Okay, so I think it's sort of like this thing that goes out here, and then there's like sort of hexagon sort of collar almost, which has then a kind of conical, well, hexagon slash conical sort of front to it, and then like a kind of beak at the end. So it is kind of it's bird motif, but it looks like a dog with a sort of weird. I've made it look much less fun than it is. I remember liking the design of these guys, and they're fun and they jump around. That's probably a bit smaller. I am doing sort of better than I thought I would with these. Again, I've only played this game once, and I finished playing it on Friday, so I did have a bit of a look a couple of days ago in preparation for this. But I didn't draw anything or take notes, so jump up and get down. What? Not sure if you know what a dog looks like. Look, it's on all fours and it jumps around and it gets all excited and it fires fireballs from its mouth. What is not dog-like about that? I remember thinking it was a cute dog thing that was trying to kill me. And they usually come in pairs, so they got like friends. Which is nice. It's the dog version of Pyramid Head. Like that's the best way I could probably describe it. Only in an action game, not in a survival horror game. It's probably got claws. I'm just drawing. No claws. Mine doesn't. Rock friend. I do like rock friend. I think he's got a tail as well. And the wonderful thing about this game is because there are several enemies which are just this but bigger. Oh, halos. I haven't put halos anywhere. You have a halo, I think. In the regular place. These will be different halos actually because we're in the second sphere. I imagine you've got a halo here. Probably wrong, but oh no, do you know what these have? These have how would it look? It's sort of like, I remember this was the first time I thought, oh yeah, there's a kind of Egyptian sort of look to these to some of these designs, and there's like a kind of circle above it with like bits and I don't know, there's this weird thing floating above its head. So I remember thinking that should be where the halo is, because the halo isn't there. That would make sense. The halo's on the legs. Hello, Rock. You just got home. Hello, Kiro. How you doing? I'm trying to draw every enemy and boss from Bayonetta from memory, having played the game once. It's Pyramid Dog bird thing. So yeah, that's fairness. I remember also thinking these enemies weren't very fair. Oops. But there we go. Oh, by the way, I never mentioned. I'm terrible at Bayonetta. Just want to point that out. I'm absolutely awful at it. I finished it, but not well. Grace and Glory. Grace and Glory are... Oh, these are more like dogs. So they're basically the same. One's fire, one's lightning, so I'll just draw one of them. You're stoning me. Oh, that's right. It's cute rocks. I don't mind. They like to kind of leer up. Do these have... I think these have bird heads again. The bird's heads start to dissipate as the higher up you go, but I think they've got like sort of weird collar shaped stuff like that. Okay, cool. That'll give me the basic gist. More like dog. Yeah, I know. Yeah, we're dealing with weird fantasy creatures. It's tricky. It's tricky to rock and rhyme with Grace and Glory. I think it's sort of... I remember thinking that looked comfortable. There's probably something going on under here, some sort of clever armor thing. I'm just going to put nipples, it's fine. How many nipples do dogs have? 6? These are more like dogs, one's for lightning, the other's fire. Okay, let's start with the bird's head. Welcome to Bayonetta. I'm just giving everything a loincloth. Why not? These are usually on all fours. I've just decided to draw this one not because I'm like that. I wish to do nothing but contradict myself when it comes to this dog thing. It's not a biped, it's usually on all fours. It does leer up though. That's what I said. I'm going to need to make this bigger, aren't I? Or smaller, I should say. How exactly are these things more like dogs? In mannerism, which I cannot draw, because this is a static image. Look, when you start seeing like the bosses and stuff like that in this game, you'll realise I start to pick up or attach myself to any kind of familiar shape or movement that I can, because the bosses don't do that. The Witchfinder General's a bit obsessed with how many nipples witches have. Okay. I should probably have listened to the Bayonetta OST before I stuck it on, because I was expecting more energetic music than this. I did have the music on when I was playing. Evidently I was not paying that much attention. Alright, so as I said, there's one of these is fire, one of these, I don't know which one's which. There's a grace and there's a glory, but one of them's fire, one of them's electricity, so I'll just make sure this is both. This is the electricity one. And this is the fire one. That makes it look like a rabbit. There we go. Looks like a dog. What have we got? Fearless. Fearless is... Hello. Rock hands. Oh, I thought it was rock. It'll do. Showing off those rock hands. They're very colourful, because they're black and white until you unlock them. And I was like, ooh, colour. Wasn't expecting that. Rock. Rock. Right, what am I talking about? Fearless, fearless, fearless. I need to hurry up. Okay, that's easy, because fearless, as far as I can tell, is basically fairness but tougher, so... Done, moving on. It's pretty much exactly the same. Harmony. What is harmony? We already got to repeating bosses? I mean, these are just enemies. We haven't actually got onto any bosses yet. What's harmony? Yeah, the design in this game is strange. I'm doing a great sweaty. Pretty much. The windows are all closed in there, and I haven't got a fan on. Hydrate, everybody. I may have to get my hint sheet up as to what harmony is. Oh, no, I do know. Yes, cool, manta rays. Start with the bird face. As you do. And then you have a kind of body with like arms, sticking out like that. And then there's sort of like a kind of thing there and then a tail. Okay, cool, that's the gist of it. Again, these are all sort of, you know, decorated with sort of nice bits and bobs and dangly things, and it's cool looking. I recommend you look it up. Oops, that's not the right button. That one isn't either. I'm doing a lot of today. Seems that's my nervous. One of my nervous tics. You return from Remnants, a bit clunky but good. Fair enough. So it's kind of like. What the manta ray looks like. I'm pretty sure this has got like decorative bits off the side of it as well. I think these also hold like bidents. I like a good bident in this game. Yeah, whatever. Okay. I hope this is the one, because if not, later I'm going to get very confused. Bident for bisexuals. That's fair enough. But there's not really any legs, and it's just a sort of tail that comes out. You probably don't see that much of the. More loincloths, whether there are loins or not. So yeah, these things just sort of fly through the sky and annoy you. Right, halfway through. I think we're an hour in, so we're kind of on track, even though it's 1:15. We have to start a little bit late. Oh yeah, halos. Probably there. Makes sense. Oh, you're on your legs. Probably there. Makes sense. Halos aren't always where you think they're going to be. And they sort of spin around. So, legs. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right. 2 spheres down. 2 to go. My computer isn't liking it. Inspired. Inspired, I think, is. Yes, okay. Let me get my rough layers. So like that, and then like that, and then. Ooh. That'll do. Joe Biden? What? Who? I remember this had a weird headpiece, but I can't remember what it does, or how it looks, or anything. So let's just add some shapes. Oops. Do none of these bosses have eyes? They do. The problem is that... Hang on, let me just illustrate with one of these happy fellas. The problem is they do have eyes. They just kind of have lots of them. In like a kind of weird goopy mass underneath the eyes on the inside. Indeed, we're going to Bloodborne. And as you fight, this sort of heavenly appearance shatters and breaks open. I don't think Crow has anything to do with any problem with eyes. He has a problem with things happening to eyes, which is fair enough. Although I may be wrong. They belong to the beholder. Yes. Hence the name of the D&D monster. So this has like a kind of face, and angry, and then it's just a sort of long tubular body. If you like the scritchy scratchies of the pen, you're going to hear a lot of them for the moment. Does the job. Yeah, and then there's like sort of bands that go around the body, which are quite good for trying to keep its place in 3 dimensions. And then it's got like tiny little wings on each of them. Actually, I don't think it's on each of them. It might be on every other one or something. I remember thinking the wings are disproportionately tiny. There's Bee Snake, yeah. It's attempting to make a dragon out of a bee and a snake. Or a hive of bees and a snake. This is also massive, again. Like, this is sort of... It's Bayonetta sitting on the front. Sketches. Oh. Again, still not a boss. Right. Cool. That's inspired. Probably a halo there. We are up into the first sphere, by the way. These are kind of like the... Not the top angels, but... Well, then maybe the top angels, but not the top of the top, if that makes sense. Cool. Braves. Braves. The music has stopped. YouTube is being annoying. The music continues. Braves. Bee Snake is the purple star crest. Fair enough. Braves. What's Braves? Gracious and Glorious is the same as Grace and Glory, basically. Don't know what Braves is. What's Braves? Ah, I'm gonna have to check my hint sheet. Ah. Thought I'd be alright without it, but here we are. Braves! Are you doing the bosses in this stream? Yeah, there's not many. Where are we? We are in here. Right, Braves. Oh, that's why I can't remember it, is because it's basically another version of a previous one we've already seen. You've never played a Bayonetta game? Neither had I until 2 weeks ago. So, yeah, there's not many bosses, it's fine. And there's not many enemies. It's kind of weird. For a game all about fighting enemies and bosses. It's just a lot of the same thing over and over again. So it's... Okay. If the thing you're drawing isn't particularly interesting, try and do something interesting with it. Right. A brave is the same, basically the same as a beloved. Slightly different. I think the collar is spikier, maybe? So instead of wavy lines, it's like spiky lines or something. I don't think they connect. They're just sort of... Big arms, small hands. Difficult to get the proportions of that right. There's a weak point again. Yeah, it's just the same as a beloved, or whatever it is. What's it called? Beloved, yeah. Gracious and glorious are the same as grace and glory, as you may possibly have ascertained. I think they are... Oh, grace and glory are the doggy things, aren't they? It's that, but without elements, I don't think. But they are also... They don't let you have witch time, which is annoying. I can never draw this pose properly. So let's try and do it really quickly on a stream. It might release inhibitions or something like that. Oh no, there is a difference with these ones. There is. Okay, cool. That's I can do that. That's not proportional whatsoever. Also not how perspective works. Right, okay, this is thing. So this one, as I say, this is the same as Grace and Glory. The Gracious and Glorious are the same as Grace and Glory, except they're not colourful or elemental, they're just sort of ivory and gold, as most things are in this game. Couple of slight differences mechanically speaking, which make them even more annoying to fight. They're just dumber versions, kind of, yeah. I remember thinking, oh, they're sort of less interesting. And there is a point in the game where you actually fight a Grace and Glory, and then immediately afterwards you fight a Gracious and Glorious, and it's like, oh, it's a downgrade. It's kind of annoying. But one thing they do have is they don't have the bird face, because, as most things that are higher up do, they have the cherub face, I think. They've got a statue face, I'm pretty sure.
That wasn't necessary of you, but you have my thanks.
Gamer Girls 12335 or 12,335, thank you for following. It's very kind of you. And hello. I'm attempting to draw all of the enemies and bosses from Bayonetta in 2 hours from memory. It's a thing I do because I'm an idiot. But yes, thank you very much for following. I hope you enjoy it. Stuck on the end of this sort of weird sausage of flesh. I never draw like this, so it's kind of fun to do this. I've always got sort of like a solid construction before I start doing any sort of thick lines. This is horrible. What I've just drawn. Just zoomed out and gone, oh no. Why did you have to follow on this, gamer girl? Why did you have to follow on this? Don't worry too much about that. Time is not my friend, so let's... Rock! Rock! Celebratory game address? Maybe. If this ever kicks off and it becomes a big thing, I'll make a purple star gang gamer dress. Only it'll be cool and it'll have like pockets and be practical. These aren't naked, by the way. They've got lots of decoration on them, but I appear to have drawn it naked, so my apologies. Pockets, yes, it baffles me that more women's clothes don't have pockets, but hey, I'm not a women's clothes designer, am I? I'm not a couturier, if that's the right word. Cool. So there we go, there's that horrible thing. Oh, you didn't get a halo. Okay. Cool, okay, that's gracious and glorious. To Isengard. Deep pockets that hold more than just a tube of lip. Oh, you've got to be proper pockets. You've got to put your hands in them, you know? Got to warm your hands on a winter's evening. You sewed giant pockets onto your pants in middle school. Good for you. Joy. Okay, Joy I've got a little bit of creative license with, because I believe in the description for Joy they are shapeshifters. So that's helpful. What's not helpful is they're kind of based on Bayonetta herself. So it's sort of particularly sort of helpful in that respect. Traffic cone. They've got kind of blank faces. They're very unlike any other enemy in the game. Joy, which is why I remember them. And as they're based on Bayonetta, they have boobs. That's the thing. Sort of humanoid face. Hips. I need to do more anatomy studies. I apologise. This is not. This is not how you should do it, but here I am, stuck in the middle with ignorance. I don't know
That
what
wasn't
sort of
necessary of you, but you have my thanks.
June Sunshine. What a nice name. Thank you for following. That's very kind. Again, you always seem to follow when I'm doing something awful. Oh, you're very welcome. It's a nice name. Right. I think it just sort of has sort of normalish arms. What they do. I'm gonna have to redraw this again. I don't know what the feet are doing, so I'm gonna put them in Crocs. Because why not? Don't know what you're drawing, if it's original work or fan arts, but these look pretty awesome. I'm attempting to draw every enemy in the game Bayonetta from memory, despite having only played through the game once. So yeah. And they have sort of weird sort of tentacly things that sort of come out like this. This is Joy. Quite a tricky enemy, actually. They're quite, you know, it's like PvP. And then they split themselves into two and clone, and it gets all complicated. You got to get rid of them quickly. I should probably be doing this on the actual layer, shouldn't I? Right, okay, so I don't really know what's going on with the face. I think it's sort of blank. Like that. That's quite a challenge. I like doing this occasionally. We did it with Sultan Sanctuary with all the bosses. We did it with Dark Souls 2 with all the bosses, which was a mess. I like, you know, I don't draw very quickly. I'm a very slow drawer, which is why I like doing this, because it gets me out of my comfort zone. I have to go fast. I have to get gestural. I have to not worry too much about details, which in a game like Bayonetta is difficult. That's not how anatomy works. Not at all. Look at. Oh my god. That's what happens when you zoom out. Okay, let's do that, and then we do this. And then what we do is we fix this leg. What's going on with that massive thigh gapper? Oh, this isn't human. That is a thing. It has a weird... It's a weird design, like Joy, if you look it up. And as you can see by the fact that I'm drawing this one in Crocs, I'm not taking it too seriously. I don't think I can take it too seriously. Not at the moment, anyway. Let's put the knee sort of there. That's a bit better. Humans. As the moment I get to humans, everything falls apart. I thought it would be the animals. Turns out it's the humans. I've got to draw another thing similar to this later on, so apologies in advance. Hello, Manic. How you doing? I'm attempting to draw every enemy and boss in the game Bayonetta from memory in 2 hours. So this is Joy, apparently. How do boobs work? I think there's like a kind of motif or design. There is some sort of patterning on the skin. I can't remember exactly how it goes. The Crocs are optional. Okay, and there's probably a halo somewhere, so let's do that. There we are. Right, Golem. Okay, Golem's pretty straightforward. Yes, you got new friends. I'm all up for new friends. Right, Golem is an occult device. It's not an angel, so that should save me a little bit of time. Here's my construction. Good. Ah! Rock! Rock. Do love rock. Okay. So, right. What's that? Good. Golem is my favourite design in the game because it's so unlike anything else. It's just kind of like a collection of cubes that reform into different shapes. As the name would suggest, it's a construct. It was constructed by, I think, it's a chaos. It's an occult device, but it is being used by the angels, I think. But oh no, is it? It might not be, because there's a lot of barriers in the game. I think the thing I like about it is that you kind of encounter mechanics in the game that are basically the same as the golem before you encounter the golem, if that makes sense. It's like something you take for granted as just, oh, that's a thing you do in the game. Oh no, actually no, that's a thing that's in universe and they made a creature out of it. I like stuff like that. I like it when game mechanics become more significant as time goes on. I probably should have actually been a bit more careful about this and thought about how these cubes are going to link up, because 3D space is not 2D drawings. But there's like, it's sort of like, yeah, a sphere made up of cubes, pixelated sphere sort of thing. Yeah, this looks awful, sorry about that. But you get the idea. And then it reforms into like a dragon head and a snake and 2 hands, and it's a fun boss fight. Not a boss fight. Well, it's a mini boss, I suppose. It's interesting. An interesting little thing. And by little, I mean huge. I just remember when it came along, I was like, it's different. I'm up for different. Which is weird given how strange and unusual all of the designs have been so far. So yeah. Judges harshly. Oh yeah, I don't like the P face on Mixer. It's strange. It was a bit too eager. There, you get the idea. Etc, etc. Oh, hang on. Yeah, that'll do. It's not a complicated design, but I like it. It's like the Death Star but pyramid. The Death Star but pixelated, I suppose. I think this came out before the film Pixels. Yeah. And it's got like a little sphere inside it, which is the actual power source, and that's the thing you've got to damage, etc, etc. Right. Now, oh god, I've got to do another human, haven't I? Jean? I can't actually remember how to pronounce her name. She's another witch, possibly the only other witch. Okay, so she's just as sassy as you are. I don't know what pose this is. It's Jethro Tull. It's also disproportionate. Then again, their legs do seem unusually long in this game. She's leaning on something. I can make it work. Yeah, because she has. I was thinking, yeah, that'll work. Because she does have. Oh, why did I think this would be a good shortcut? Oh look, this pose isn't really working very well because the center of gravity is off. I'll have her leaning on something. What will I have her leaning on? I know, a motorbike. Bloody idiot. Anyway, done. So anyway, she's another witch. You start the game off fighting with her, alongside her, on a clock face, falling from the top of a cliff. The whole fight takes place while you're on it, while it's falling, which is a bit of a spectacle. God, what does she look like? That's a question. What does she look like? She has a motorbike, by the way. I didn't just conjure that out of thin air. Cover the motorbike with a sheet. Okay, I can do that. It's got wing mirrors. Right, what does she look like? What does Jean look like? I played through this game. They say her name loads of times. Why can't I remember how it's pronounced? Okay, we'll start with the things I do know. There's this sort of big, sort of ruffled collar thing. She has another thing on her chest. Bayonetta's got a circular metal device on her chest. She has another. I don't think it's under the collar. I think the collar sort of stops further up. It's just big. She has several outfits during the game, and several hairstyles, if I recall. It would be great if I could remember any of them. Okay, I'll do her... No. Does she have, like, sunglasses? She might have, like, sunglasses on her top of her head. Might be making that up. I think she's got, like, sort of short hair. She kind of reminds me a little bit of... No, that doesn't make any sense. Don't worry. Don't forget a ponytail. Oh yeah, everyone has a ponytail. That's a thing. Oh, hang on. Autosave. Opportunity to take a drink. Oh god, it's almost 10 to 9 and we've still got a whole quarter of this to do. She's got big eyelashes and like eyeshadow, which is difficult to do with just line art. Also, I don't know what's going on with these eyes. They're quite low down. Yeah. Yep, why is that not doing... I'm pressing... Oh, it's because... silly thing. Okay, there we go. This isn't what she looks like at all. Ignore the fact that she doesn't look anything like this. Tell you what, I remember in flashbacks she has like a kind of Princess Leia sort of hairdo. So we'll do that. That helps. It doesn't matter too much. Haven't got time to worry about the rest of it, I don't think. Anyway, she's your kind of adversarial equal, as it were, being another witch. And you have a bit of a history with her that's uncovered over the course of the game. She's wearing this kind of sort of jumpsuit sort of thing. I would say those legs are too long, but honestly, looking at the official models, it's not that far off. But I want to make him shorter anyway. Which does mean I have to make the motorbike shorter. If you can't have fun, what can you do? And then it's probably like big fluffy boots. It's remarkable how little I remember of this very crucial plot character. Very plot crucial character. That's how you pronounce words, isn't it? Actually, she's probably also wearing heels. Oh no, she like Bayonetta. What? Okay, I've selected the wrong layer. That's fine. Okay, yes, she, like Bayonetta, has heels. And those heels are attached to guns. Why not? Literally, the combat system in this game relies on the fact that both your punches and kicks turn into gunfire. It's an interesting system. This isn't a throwaway idea. This is, look at proportions, please, please. This is what having no time does to you. Or does to the things I have to draw. You get the idea. She's kind of cool. If ever so slightly malformed, that's my fault. Anyway, yes, Jeannie. Howsoever she is to be pronounced. Yeah, gun limbs. Yeah, pretty much. This version looks like she can handle herself in a fight too, so points for that. I mean, she continuously throughout the game beat the ever-living crap out of me, so... I'm not good at this game, if I mentioned. She doesn't have a halo, she's not a witch. Neither does Golem, because that's not a... Though she is a witch, she's not an angel. Yeah. Glims. Okay, saving and moving on to the last quarter. We have, if we want to finish at the normal time, 7 minutes, but we did finish quarter of an hour late, so not too bad. Now for the bosses. Oh, hang on, I moved the background. Yeah, that's a bit better. Okay, bosses. I mean, Jean, Jan, she's kind of a boss. The Golem might be thought of as a boss as well, but for now, let's do these. Fortitudo. Fortitudo, okay. Let's sort you out, shall we? Oops. Okay. Yeah, cool. Messed that up already, that's fine. Right, okay. No arms, I don't think. Cool, good. Wings, as always. Okay, cool. Right. Fortitudo, first boss. You kind of fight it a couple of times before you properly fight it. I think you also encounter it in the prologue. A couple of interesting things about it is it's 2 dragons. Because it's not enough to have 1 dragon. Got like spikies and all these sorts of things. I'm not particularly good at drawing dragons, as you know. Or as you may know, our new friends won't. Dragons are easy, just start with the basic horse shape. Are you trying to mock me? The answer being no, you are successfully mocking me. It's kind of like a dragon, it's just a wide dragon. Put some spikes on the head. Anyway, so I'll save myself some time. Literally the same, one of them's red, one of them's blue. And then in the middle of the head, as these things tend to have. I think this is the right boss first. Hello! Hugbots! Oh, thank you very much. Very kind. Yes, it is. That is the first thing I thought of was the inappropriately named Schizo from Final Fantasy VII. Two-headed dragon. Oh, that was from a friend. Hello, Jester686 Reborn. How you doing? Again, to reiterate, for anybody who doesn't know, I am attempting to draw every enemy and boss from Bayonetta from memory after one playthrough in under 2 hours. It's going as well as you'd think. Faces in straightforward. So many new friends, yeah. And they're all very welcome, because they all seem to be very kind. I don't really have time to sort of fix this. There's like... It's a big nose. So anyway, yeah, it has a head, has a face, as these things tend to. It's the wrong way up, but it's there. Am I drawing on tablet or PC? I'm drawing on a drawing tablet, but on PC, if that makes sense. A graphics tablet on a PC. So not a tablet computer. Sorry, I'm just confusing matters. PC. Get a basic idea. And then there's wings. As you would expect. You don't like that it's upside down? It's an unusual design choice. Just you wait till some of the other ones. So yeah, this is, I think there's probably some sort of nice sort of decoration on it somewhere and all these sorts of things, but I don't have time for that, so... Fortitudo. Boss number 1. First of the Auditio, however you wish to pronounce it. No. There we are. That's better. Cool. Temperantia. Temperantia is like doesn't really have much of a kind of role in the game. I remember thinking it just sort of came out of nowhere. It probably doesn't, but it felt like it did. That, and then things, and then more things. Oh, try, you might like this one. Actually, you probably like the next one. Actually, you probably won't. Okay. Right, good. Let's get cracking. Face, we start. It's the right way up this way. This time, I think. I don't remember any other ones being the wrong way up. And then there was like a sort of thing around it. I think it was like a shawl. It was probably something completely different, but whatever. And then there was a sort of back to it. Oh, yeah, this one has like the time gimmick in its boss fight, if I recall. The turning back time. It never really comes up again. Be interesting if that was a, you know, plot point in the final boss. I can't really remember what happens down here either. Then there's like these sort of weird energy balls here with rings sort of floating around them. Sorry, I haven't looked at chat for a while. What's a Cintiq? Is that Wacom? Yeah, Wacom Cintiq is what I use. They are very expensive. I'm very worried. Mine keeps flickering around, and I'm so concerned I have to buy another one. Good night, tubes. Fantastic. Good luck sleeping. Same goes for everyone else. Try particularly. Anyway, the sort of ring energy things, they sort of give off light. generally scream at you, I'm a weak spot. Then there's... This guy reminds me of Trauma from Final Fantasy VIII, because none of the limbs are attached. Okay, how am I going to approach this? So, let's approach it like this. By cheating, primarily. So this guy has like noodles for fingers. They're slightly strange. And given that this thing is absolutely enormous, you could probably fit in the noodle. It's mildly disconcerting, don't you know? Sorry, I'm going to have to draw over your name. Hope you don't mind. It's weird because the natural curve wants to go that way, but I have to go this way because that's... Okay, cool, we're fine. Ish. I can live with the result, put it that way. So yeah, noodle fingers. That's the main thing I take away from this guy. That's kind of I'm still, I think something happens here, but I don't know what it is. So I'm just going to do a reverse loincloth. Right, that's I think Temperantia. We have apparently 7 minutes left to do the last 3. I'm gonna go over a little bit. Hope you don't mind. Ice cream and ice creamed coffee. Ooh. Speedrun. Justicia. Okay, Justicia. Can do. Ball. Whoops. Ball. Good start. Weird sort of spiky wing things. Up, down, up. That'll do. Okay, and then just sort of stuff like that. Okay, good. What are we talking to? Who? What? Who? Sniping? Who? Wow? Who? What? Where? I'm losing track of the conversation and my own sanity. So Okay, there's a face, and there's another face. Dip doo doo. Auto save, it takes a while. There we are. Slowing me down. Okay, cool. Now. And now for the pièce de résistance. If you don't like just looking at this, don't watch the boss fight. It gets worse. More things over there. And then there's some sort of thinner, tangly things with like sort of spiky balls on the end. That, luckily, it's mostly symmetrical, so... Oh, hello, that's not the right thing. And by luckily, I mean luckily for me. Pretty close with that. I'll probably keep that there. Not terrible. Yeah, and then it's got these sort of odd wings. I remember thinking it looked like shards of glass from Morrowind. So yeah, that's Justicia. Welcome to Justice. 3 more. So that should be Sapient, yeah? This is... Right, yes. This is fought in the water. This one. Or on the water, I should say. Sorry, yes, I began deflating there. Hope you don't mind. Yep, 3 more to go, by the way. There is a... I should say I'm not doing all bosses, technically, because there is an optional boss in the game that I didn't fight. I only found out about that after I finished playing, and I'm not going to include it because I don't really know... Well, I know sort of what it looks like, but that would be spoilers to say precisely how. So yeah, it's not all bosses. My apologies. And then there's like same sort of thing, really. Okay, cool. Right. Yes, let's go. So this thing is sort of like a ship again, but it's got like sort of a face with a thing on it, I think, something like that. Oh, I forgot the horns. It has horns. Can't remember particularly why it does, but it does. Doesn't really do anything with them, apart from look rad. Nice to see you. Okay, so that's sort of the front, and then there's the body at the back. Then it's got sort of big arm things, and then it's got these sort of on it, which I think fire missiles again. So more missiles. Generally, I remember thinking that this one was kind of unremarkable, apart from the fact that this was the first time, I think the first time. So your character, you know, I can cheat here. We're in the water. So your character occasionally finishes battles by summoning a demon to take the boss away. I think it does that for every boss fight. And you occasionally get different demons, and I think this is the first time you get the spider demon. So that's fun. I personally find it cute, but I know some people who wouldn't. But that's mostly what I remember about this. And the level before this was annoying. I remember that. On a plane. It's also very big, again, like you're sort of on a bit of wreckage, just sort of underneath it, sort of wondering how you got to this point. These are basically gods you're fighting, so... Yeah, they've got, like, big claws, it's fine. Right. So anyway, one thing I did want to point out is that I'm basically doing this as a proof of concept. So the speed draw-throughs, or as I'm now calling them, boss brushes, that I have done hitherto are games that I've been familiar with. This is the first time I've done a game which I've played through once, and that's it. That's my entire understanding of this game. So it is theoretically possible, if you want me to do other ones of these games, then I can play the game quite quickly, or watch a Let's Play or whatever, and do it from that. Because this has gone relatively well, I think. All things considered, we are overrunning by 2 minutes already, and we have 2 more things to go. It's boss brush. Yeah, that you have to thank Kiro for that. Kiro described these as boss rushes, and I thought that's a really cool name. And then I, this morning, came up with the idea of adding a bead at the beginning. Right. Oh, fantastic. The last 2 are humanoid. Okay, so Father Balder. Father Balder is a strange one. Who here likes Final Fantasy VIII? And who here likes The Phantom of the Opera? Have you ever considered about putting those 2 things together? I haven't. Oh, and Liberace as well. Stick that in there while we're here. I think there's just robes involved. Saves time. Okay, and then there's that. And then there's that. Which makes it all worse. Father Balder is kind of the last-ish boss, not really. Actually, there's no way. The penultimate boss, kind of. Humans are easy. Start with a basic horse shape. Oh, I love that. I shouldn't bother putting too much detail in at the moment. She's sticking to it, isn't she? Right, so then there's sort of... Anyway, we'll get on to that. So, let's make some space. Yes, Father Balder, Lumen Sage. Basically the one who orchestrates everything that you've been fighting up till this point. Very sort of theatrical friend, and not just the fact that he's wearing half a mask. I think he's got a stronger nose than that. YouTube being annoying again. Hush you. Horses do get sticky when you beat them for a while. I can't remember for the life of me what sort of clothes he wears, but then again, this is a kind of a long-range battle, so it's sort of difficult to tell. And his appearance does change from the last cutscene, because he does also happen to have a child in him. Story of this game is unusual. Pretty sure she's still got glasses on at this point. Oh no, her eyes are closed. This is spoilers, I suppose. If you wanna, if you're gonna play this game, is it a child? I won't get into it. She wasn't part of him 5 minutes ago. Let's put it that way. Do you remember when I said Final Fantasy VIII? And I think the rest of it's just sort of like nice, sort of fancy, swishy robes. Do you remember when you said you don't know what Final Fantasy VIII is? I'm sure we'll get around to it at some point. Instead of a child is Benjamin Frank. Does look a bit, doesn't it? That wasn't my intention. But you know, these things happen. Everyone who has hands is going to have hands like this. I would just like to point out that the last boss is not going to go well, for reasons that have already been explored over the course of this stream. Just make it gestural, Chris, doesn't have to be precise. Okay, and then we just have sort of... and also can't forget the wings made of peacock feathers. That's the thing. There's lots of them, you can rest assured. I haven't drawn enough. He probably has a halo actually at this point. He's kind of in charge, I suppose. Oh, halos. Halos. There's probably like a big one here. Who knows where to put one on this thing? That'll do. There's probably one there as well. No. You can have a little one. It's fine. Put one down there. Right. This dude looks like Jacob. Look, I don't know how to draw many men. You see. I'm not really happy with the way I draw Jacob, to be honest. Neither Jacob nor Julia look like either of them in the comics I make, and I apologise for that. These aren't eggs, they're supposed to be like indications of the peacock eye feather things. You know what they're supposed to be. You get the idea. It's easier to do this with colour. Right. What boss would you like? I don't know. Jan, maybe? Maybe this one. You might like that one. That might be your favourite. And the last one, Jubileus. Final boss. You don't like that boss? Oh, that's a shame. Okay, I'll make my life a little bit easier. I don't want to spoil too much of the story of the game, so I won't. Rock hands. Jubilee from X-Men? No, unfortunately not. Why was she the main character? I never understood. So Jubileus tends to spend most of this boss fight in the fetal position, which makes my life a little bit easier. Okay, that'll do. Right. And bears a remarkable resemblance to Bayonetta herself. And I think has the motif that we've seen before of facelessness. And Jubileus. Okay, how much of this do we have to do? I'm pretty sure she is mostly clothless. For reasons that do make somewhat sense. I think she's wearing sort of rudimentary underwear. How do you draw underwear? Don't know. She's a good sparkly vampire. Before sparkly vampire came to mean something completely different when the Twilight films were released. If it can't be played by Christopher Lee, then it shouldn't be a vampire. That's my motto. For I have a motto, apparently. I think there's like sort of lots of ornament and jewellery, as is obviously ascertained. Probably some on there, whatever. I won't get into too much detail about what Jubileus is and why they appear to be as they are here. But it's the final boss, so you can know it's something particularly significant. Actually, it's sort of almost like hands, if I remember correctly. These, wrong way around. Twilight is the reason we're boiling to death on this rock. Alright then. Twilight caused global warming is a new one, I think, but funnily enough, probably not the last time I'm going to hear it. Save for time. There's like 6 of these. Whoops. Come on. Yep. Oh no. There we go. Simple. Whoops. That's slightly more complicated. All this music sounds like a Sega Genesis game. I know, this is the Bayonetta OST, isn't it? I think it is. Strange. Like I say, I've never really listened to apart from when I played it, but... Let's face on that side. She doesn't look particularly jubilant at the moment, but I say at the moment, I'm almost done, so I don't think she is ever going to be. I suppose that'll do, and then sort of like sort of bubble around her. Right, there we go. Rather unceremoniously, I'll give you a halo, why not? Rather unceremoniously, that is the end of the stream. We have completed the boss brush. It took a little longer than expected. It took a little longer to start than expected because of audio drivers and all these sorts of things. But we've done it. We have done all enemies and bosses in the game, apart from the optional boss that I didn't do. So we'll go back through some of them, just have a little look. We've got affinities, basic enemies in the game. Deers and decorations are sort of sky units to get you used to shooting. Enchants, they're wheels for some reason. Applaud, bigger affinities. Arda, bigger affinities with weapons and shields. Irenic, just a car. Harmonies are manta rays. Fearless are the Hexagon Dogs, or the slightly better Hexagon Dogs. Grace and Glory are the fire or electricity doggy things. Fairness are the original ones. They're the original Hexagon Dogs. Kinship is a ship with rockets on it. Beloved is an axe thing. Big, giant, what's it? Inspired. I quite like that inspired, it's quite good. And the Braves is just playing cards there. I like this one. Less. No, thank you for the stickers. Thank you very much. Avocado, toast, and rock. Gracious and Glorious is another one of these things. This is probably the worst picture of the day. It's not terrible technically, but just to look at it. Joy doesn't know what's going on. Robo T-Rex, thank you very much, miss. Golem, I should have put more effort into it than that. Jian doesn't look anything like Jian, but I quite like the design anyway. And then the gods. Fortitudo, Double Eds, Temperancia, Just get rid of the rough layers. Noodle fingers. The less said about Justicia, the better. Sapientia. I spelled that wrong. Father Boulder is Peacock Brain, and Jubileus is a scared child. Kind of ish. So yeah. Thank you for coming along. This was fun. I like doing these. The result is always a mishmash of things I'm proud of and things that I absolutely hate, but that's why we do it. Bayonetta is a strange game. I recommend you play it. I didn't really get along with it myself. It was a bit too... I think I've been spoiled with Dark Souls. I think I have a bit too high standards now for action games, but you know, it's fun. It's a good bit of fun. I played it all the way through, so I can't complain. Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for coming along. You say thank you to me for streaming. I wouldn't stream, you know, if you guys weren't here and having a good time and helping me have a good time. So